Hi, I'm Hope Fawn, and I thank you for joining me today as I share some of my new learning about growth mindset. Growth mindset is considered the new psychology of success. The term was coined by Dr. Carol Dweck, who is a renowned researcher in personality, social psychology, and developmental psychology. She did much of her work at Columbia. Currently, she is the Lewis and Virginia Eaton Professor of Psychology at Stanford. Dr. Dweck has done years of research about the fixed and growth mindsets. She has garnered worldwide attention for her work in mindset theory. She is a prolific speaker and writer about the limitations of a fixed mindset and the benefits of a growth mindset. She has studied the implications of each mindset in the world of business, school, relationships, parenting, and professional athletics. Let's begin by looking at the two belief systems or mindsets Dr. Dweck and her colleagues have identified and the characteristics of each. People who have a fixed mindset believe that intelligence and talents are something you're born with. You either have it or you don't. You either get math or you don't. You're either talented on the soccer field or you aren't. They do not appreciate effort. Actually, they believe effort is for the weak or the less intelligent people. When they have to put forth effort, they feel as if it labels them negatively. People with a fixed mindset believe that their successes or failures are a direct measure of their competence and worth. Therefore, they avoid making mistakes or experiencing failures at all costs. This makes them choose to hide flaws as well as creates a wariness for accepting challenges and taking risks. Fixed mindset personalities do not appreciate feedback. They ignore feedback or become insulted as they consider it a personal criticism. While teaching at Columbia, Dr. Dweck and her associates looked at the brain waves to determine how fixed and growth mindset personalities viewed feedback. Their findings were intriguing. The brain waves of fixed mindset persons showed interest only when the feedback reflected on their ability. They indicated an interest to know whether they were right or wrong, but when they were offered guidance on how to improve, the brain waves showed no interest. When you're in a fixed mindset, you feel threatened by the success of others. In a world that is based upon judgments, if another is more successful than you are unable to appreciate their success. It translates into thinking that says, wow, they're better than me. They've got more talent than me. They're smarter. I must be dumb. I'm not as good as them. Very judgmental. Having a fixed mindset is limiting. People who are of the fixed mindset feel that they have to prove themselves over and over. When they choose whether or not to participate in an activity, take a risk, or try something new, they consider how they will be judged. It's easy for them to choose something they're talented at or something that comes easily to them, but they avoid challenges because they do not want to be judged as less than fantastic. These tendencies to avoid risk and challenge limit them and lead them to achieve less than their full potential. On the other hand, growth mindset individuals believe that intelligence and talents can be cultivated. People who have a growth mindset see every opportunity as potential for growth or expansion. They value effort and view it as a way to improve. Mistakes are not threatening to them because they don't associate making mistakes with personal ineptitude, but rather as a natural part of learning. Their failure is not affiliated with their sense of being or self-worth, but viewed as a growth opportunity. They evaluate their errors and they make a plan to improve in the future. Because they view errors as a part of learning, they take the old adage, learn from your mistakes, to heart. Those with a growth mindset are eager to accept challenges. They're excited to try new things and to figure things out. They welcome feedback and they often seek it out. Feedback is viewed as critical information in order to do better the next time. Remember the brainwaves study I mentioned earlier? Based on what you've heard so far in this presentation, it won't surprise you to hear that while receiving feedback on how to improve, the brainwaves of the growth mindset people were activated. This is because growth mindset people are focused on learning and improvement for the future. Growth mindset individuals are inspired by the success of others. When they see a successful leader, they think, "Oh, that's how it's done. Let me see how I can incorporate that into what I'm trying to do." They view others as allies, co-learners, and helpers rather than judges. They accept and are eager to participate in challenging tasks or situations. Through their experiences, they tend to become more successful and grow to their best potential. Now that you have an understanding of what fixed and growth mindsets are, let's consider the implications for the classroom. Surely we want to develop students who are resilient, able to learn from mistakes, and take on challenges so that they're prepared to take on the workforce and the world problems in their adulthood. I will outline a few practices that will help develop growth-minded thinkers in your classroom. I will highlight teaching children about the brain and how it works, praising process, not the child, teaching students positive self-talk, reframing how students set goals for themselves, and setting the expectation in your classroom that it's okay to make mistakes. First, take some time to teach your students how the brain works and how it can grow new neurons and make new or stronger connections when it's working hard and learning new things. In this way, students will come to understand that the brain can grow and change and, like a muscle, can become stronger and more agile. This is one of the core beliefs about the growth mindset, that we can become better and we can learn more through hard work, perseverance, and specific learning strategies. Next, it's imperative that teachers change the way they praise and provide feedback to students. In his writing for The Guardian, January 2018, Bradley Bush reports on a compilation of 6 of Dr. Dweck's studies that she completed while at Columbia. In each study, the children were asked to complete a problem-solving game. When finished, they were all told they had gotten 80% of the problems correct, and they were given praise. One group was praised for their natural ability, and the other group was praised for effort. Here is a table that shows how students responded to that praise. When praised for innate ability, children chose future tasks that were easier, required less risk, and would make them look smart. While children who were praised for effort chose future tasks that were challenging and would help them learn something new. Children who were praised for ability reported lower levels of enjoyment, while children who were praised for effort reported higher levels of enjoyment. Children who were praised for ability were less likely to persist on difficult tasks. Those praised for effort exhibited more perseverance in the face of difficult tasks. Interestingly, children who were praised for ability actually performed worse in future tasks, while those who were praised for effort performed better. 86% of children who were praised for ability asked for information about how others had performed. Only 23% of those who were praised on effort asked about information about how others had performed. Most asked for feedback about how to do better. 38% of the children praised for ability lied about how many problems they finished. Only 13% of those praised for effort lied about their accomplishments. It's important to mention that in subsequent years and many such studies, Dr. Dweck and several other esteemed researchers have continued to find consistent results when studying the effects of praise. The lesson here is that we need to change the way we provide praise or feedback. Praise and feedback need to be provided on the process rather than the product or the person. In the video Praising the Process, first grade teacher Chana Stewart explains that she chooses to praise the process because it breaks down for the students what they specifically did to accomplish their goal and teaches them how to continue to grow. She also pointed out that when you use the language of process praise and feedback, it becomes the language of the students. Students can then give meaningful feedback and praise to one another while working in peer groups. She says process praise and feedback helps students take ownership of their own learning. Dr. Heidi Grant Halverson, who is a former student of Dr. Dweck, in her speech to Finnish teachers at the campus conference in Helsinki in 2014, also reports that feedback and praise should always be process-centered. She recommends highlighting effort, persistence, strategy, and attitude. Students need to be taught how to put feedback into action to make improvements. It's worthwhile to note here that growth-minded students, when no feedback is proffered, will take the bull by the horns and seek it out. How to seek out feedback is something you may have to teach your more fixed-minded students. Teaching and modeling appropriate self-talk is a great way for teachers to develop a growth mindset in their classrooms. Self-talk is useful when a child is facing a challenging task, as well as when a child is setting goals. Here are some examples of self-talk to teach your children to engage in when they're feeling stuck in a challenge. Encourage them to avoid thinking, "I made a mistake," but to think instead, "Mistakes help my brain grow." Don't think, "This is hard." Instead, think, "This may take some time and effort." Don't think, "I didn't do it right." Do think, "I'll try a different strategy." Don't think, "I am so frustrated." Do think, "Learning something new can be hard, but I can persevere." Regarding goal setting, Dr. Halverson recommends using these trigger words to move students into growth-minded action: improve, progress, develop, become, grow. So, when students are setting goals, help them to write goals such as, "I want to improve my math score," or "I want to develop my descriptive writing," rather than, "I want to do a great job on the test." Finally, I want to point out that it's a good practice to teach children the value of making mistakes, and that when a mistake is made, the door of opportunity to learn has just been opened. This comes naturally to a growth-minded person, but needs to be taught to those of fixed mindset. When a growth-minded person fails at a task or makes a mistake, they say things like, "Maybe I need to consult an expert." "Maybe I need to try a different strategy." "Maybe I need to clarify my understanding with someone else." "Maybe I should have studied harder." "I'll study harder for the next test." Making a plan based on their prior error or failure gives power and positivity to the growth-minded student. I've only just touched on the tip of the iceberg today about how to develop growth-minded students in your classroom. Here are some further resources for your consideration. Let me point out that all people live in both mindsets. All people experience times in their life or situations that lend themselves to either fixed thinking or growth thinking. It would behoove one to notice when they're getting stuck in the fixed mindset and make changes in order to move oneself into a growth mindset. I'll end with this quote from Dr. Dweck. Quote, "When people change from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, they change from a judge and be judged framework of beliefs to a learn and help learn framework. Their commitment is to growth, and growth takes plenty of time, effort, and mutual support." End quote. These are qualities I'd like to see in place in my first grade classroom. Thank you for taking the time today to listen to this presentation. Growth mindset is a fascinating topic. If you'd like to learn more, I'm happy to have a conversation with you at hfawn@usd259.net. I'd also strongly urge you to take the online class, Improving Student Achievement in a Growth Mindset Classroom, offered through Newman University.